Well, I'm excited to pay things forward for your age group. Not very often college kids have their own podcast, doing big things like you. So it's my honor. I wish I had the drive or the safety or anything that we have available to us now, back when I was your age. So kudos to you and thanks for having me.
Thank you. Before we get into like your bigger story, I'm curious, why did you start a podcast? So what was your drive to do it?
So what my drive was, I wrote a book during the pandemic, Harder Than Life. And when I was talking to the publisher, and he's like, it was final, it was going. We had a date that it was going to be published. And he said, "What are you going to do with this?" And I said, "I'm just going to give it away to my customers." And he's like, "Oh no, this is going to be a bestseller. You've got to, go on the road and you got to tell people about this. And this is a good story." And I said, "Well, what else?" And he's like, "Start a podcast." And at the time, I'm like, "That sounds difficult." And I made a few phone calls, and it turns out, like, it's still, this was 3.5 years ago, so it wasn't as easy as it is now. There wasn't Riverside, and it wasn't Zoom and that stuff that was just as reliable as it is now. So through twists and turns, I do things hard at first, and then I figure it out. The first 2 years were practice, and now we're just 3.5 years into this. We're starting to see success. Um, so I did it to just pay it forward. It's literally become my purpose now, is to make it safe for men to be vulnerable, look in the mirror, and deal with their uncomfortable feelings that we all push down. And as I'm getting older and talking to more and more people and getting in rooms with more and more people, and allowing people to be vulnerable, these men, I'm finding out that men have a lot of fear and shame that they have, pushed down. So a young man like you, get started early, and you get to live your best life, because guys like us can pave the way for you, and listen, learn from us. They say the youth is wasted on the youth, but not for smart people like you. So learn from our mistakes. So I'm paying it forward. And the quicker you deal with the things that are going on in your head, the quicker your life gets better.
Yeah, I mean, just looking through content, there were just a lot of things that stood out. I mean, just your value of family and holistic health, but also this theme of, being vulnerable, and you can
Oh,
definitely go deeper
watch
into
it go through. Like, watch how I evolve over the last 3.5 years. It went
that.
from, you could see me learning, growing, and evolving. It started off with all the alcohol content, because that's what really started all this. What I would tell your listeners is, there's no reason to ever drink. I partied with the best of them. Didn't I didn't you know I didn't hit rock bottom. I didn't lose everything. I just one day said, wonder what life would be without alcohol, and holy smokes, it is so good. So if people are smoking and drinking or popping pills, just don't, man. Just lean into those feelings, and on the other side of those feelings is the life of your dreams.
Yeah, can you tell me more about your story with alcohol? I know you mentioned, I think, in some of your content that you came from a background of addiction. So tell me more, like what's your story with
Yeah,
alcohol?
I grew up on the east side of Detroit. Went to high school at M&M for a year. And all we knew was partying, and that was your camaraderie. So my parents were alcoholics, they were abusive. So I just followed right in their footsteps, and I just drank because that's what everybody did. And everybody liked Party Kelly. But I didn't. But I wish I would have known earlier, which I did. I look in the mirror, and I had it suspected when I was like 30, but it took until I was 43 where I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And when I quit, then all the feelings that I had been masking and pushing down came up, and then I realized why I drank. And once I healed those, I never ever wanted to drink again. So I have no desire. So if you ever feel the need to have a drink, there's something underneath that. And I've done a lot of research and a lot of interviews that it goes back to the, you want better fruit, heal the root. And the root for me was, I just didn't think I was worthy, didn't think I was lovable, and I thought I was bad. So I was going to do all those things, and no better place than to be worthless, unlovable, and bad the bottom of a bottle or in a bar.
Yeah, in retrospect, it sounds like simple. You know, you used to drink a lot, now you don't. But I'm sure when you're really deep in there and come from that background, it's not as easy as just stepping away. So was it
No,
difficult
it
for you,
isn't.
or like what was the moment where things started to take the other turn?
Well, I kept meeting the same romantic partner, and they kept being uh, disloyal, dishonest. And I looked no further than me. You like attracts like. So I said, what part of me is being dishonest? And remember, I just told you my three things: unlovable, unworthy, and bad. So I was attracting unlovable, unworthy, and bad women. So where do you meet them? Bars. So I literally just said that the thing that kept coming up for me was I was meeting terrible women, and that was my pattern. And I just said, I just don't want to do this. When you grow up physically and emotionally abused, all you want is someone to love you. And what I learned along the way is I can love myself, and that's good enough. And that's really all you need. Everything I require, everything we all require, we have on our inside of us that we can supply. Nothing, nobody needs to act a certain way. I don't need a partner. I don't need a certain president to be successful. I don't need tax laws. I don't need low interest rates. I'm going to win no matter what because I trust me. I've been through it. I do the work. Anything hard, I plow through it, and I'm just unstoppable. And the results speak for themselves. I know it sounds arrogant, but it's not. It's from doing the hard things for years and years and years. And at the end of the day, you got a lot of people, a lot of influencers out here, ranting and running their mouth. And I just show the proof. I have a company that does really well that runs without me. I have a successful podcast. I'm in tremendous shape at 50 years old. I have a pretty good, loving relationship. I got everything. I got multiple houses, multiple cars. But at the end of the day, I'm in my joy, my peace, and I'm in my purpose. And that's all that matters to me.
So definitely leaving alcohol was one of the biggest first steps toward stepping toward your dreams. Do you think there's other decisions you made throughout that process that, I mean, to a lot of men, like your life seems like the ideal, the dream, but it seems really very far away for a lot of people. So can you think back to other steps you think that led you down this path when you came from such a difficult background and, had these issues early on?
Yeah, it's just the number one thing that I'm playing with right now, and literally just typed it in AI to figure out how to start talking about this is facing your fears, which and facing your limiting beliefs, which I didn't know I had, that shame and fear. But it's also just you have to be self-aware, and you can't deny if you're running from something. And here's the thing: is a lot of times most people don't know. If you're constantly stacking work, stacking projects, you're probably running from something. So you cannot sit still. And I've always said the three S's I wrote in my second book, Happier Than Life. The three S's: stillness, silence, and solitude. If you can't do that, and I mean for at any amount of extended amount of time, 15 minutes a day, then there's probably some underlying program running in your subconscious that needs addressing. And that's your portal to level up your life. You go there, most won't, and you're going to find some demons and some scared things. But once you actually heal it and love yourself and trust yourself, the life of your dreams will appear.
So do you feel like you've reached a point where you've healed fully all of the scars of the past, or do you still question it sometimes? Like, am I fully good? Like, how do you know that, you know?
I've healed enough for today and that I'm not making the same mistakes. And I believe that you get to different levels and then you meet different devils and you have to heal different parts. The experts say that you heal, you're always going to be healing. Um, but I got to tell you, I just came out of this IFS therapy, integrated family systems therapy, which we pretty much will healed those shame components that I didn't know I had. And I feel the best I've ever felt in my life. So, but will I stop here? No. Um, it's no coincidence that once I started going down that path, my business increased, my podcast is growing like crazy. So if you go into those darkest parts of your life, you will get rewarded. It will suck. March and April of this year was the worst 2 months of my life. I was in constant anxiety. I was exhausted. I was fighting with everybody. I had resistance coming from all levels, but I just sat in it and it passed. So yeah, it's interesting. Life is interesting. Or you can keep on life's merry-go-round and just keep going around and around expecting things to change and you're going to puke. And that's the whole definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. That's not for me, man. I get bored.
Yeah, tell me more about this 2 month stretch because it looks like everything's going well for you, and then all of a sudden there's this anxiety wave, and I think you said you just sat with it, let it pass. But did these come to you often, or like what was unique about those 2 months?
Well, last year I decided I was going to work out 500 times and I was going to work like a dog and I was determined I was going to get in the best shape physically, mentally, as well as financially of my life. And I worked harder than I've ever worked before in my life in every component of my life. And I went backwards. I regressed. And I was interviewing a IFS therapist on the Heart of the Life show. And when I was talking to her, I said, "Holy smokes. I don't believe anything is a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason." And I said, "I got to hire you." And she said, "I'm full, but I'll work with you." She's like, I'm picking up that you're stuck." So basically, I hit a ceiling. I had hit my ceiling and I could not break
That
through.
was this year,
I
or was this
That
last year?
was the end of last year. So 2025. I met this lady end of December. I hired her beginning of January. We started the work. A couple weeks in, about 6 weeks in, we got right to the root. We went very aggressive because I'd done a lot of work on myself. And I told her, "You're not going to break me. I cannot be broke." And she said, "Okay, I'm going to push hard." And she said that we definitely did a year's worth of work in 5 months. So she goes, "There was a couple points I thought you were going to break. And there was a couple of weeks where I'm like, this sucks." I mean, I felt way worse before I felt better. And that's when people quit. But I doubled down and kept going. And this is after doing talk therapy, hypnotherapy, EMDR therapy. I had multiple coaches. I'd done a lot of work, but this IFS went to my core and
What
basically
is IFS?
integrated family
Yeah,
systems. So basically, you have these protectors. Think of it as a bunch of your subconscious is getting together to make the parts of you. It's
interesting.
called parts work, and it was wild. And ever since we got to the root, I'm just am at peace and life is good. So we had our final session yesterday, as a matter of fact, and she said, "You're done." And that's how you know when you're with a good therapist because they don't want to keep you coming, 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 coming. And I teased her because I said, "How many people go back to drinking from what you did?" She's like, "A lot do, but you gave me permission to go hard. I would have never gone that hard on somebody had you not, you know." And then she said, "If you didn't think you could take it, I wouldn't have done it." But I took it, through it. It's like anything in the world. Wouldn't you rather do something super hard and a shorter duration or halfway hard for double the duration? So you're in college. I used to take, when I was in school, I would take 1 day a week classes rather than the
Really?
3 day a week. 1 day a week, 3 hour versus three 1 hour classes. I like that. I packed all my classes into 2 days and I had the rest of the time to myself.
Yeah, no, that's a good approach. Mine is usually all over the place,
It
but
worked for
yeah.
me. I don't know if it's the smart thing. Honestly, had it gone the other way and thrown me back into drinking or if I would have quit or if I didn't come out the other end, I probably would be saying something different.
Awesome. As an outsider, what does it mean to go hard in therapy? Because I've never kind of gone down that path, so tell me more.
Buddy, I do I don't half-ass anything. If I do something, I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. That probably came from some limiting belief as well. But I know one gear and it's full throttle, 110% go. So what does it mean? I think that it means when, what do they say? No pain, no gain. And a lot of people disagree with me on this. They're like, well, it doesn't have to be. I don't know. That's why I called it harder than life. Oh, that's the wrong side. Harder than life is at first I thought that you just had to tough everything out. But now that I'm through most of it, I do see what people say, like how you can vibrate high and attract things to you. But I don't know if you can do that until you're at least healed enough. Until you've healed the major childhood trauma. And the funny thing about it, my friend, is we've all had it. You're a young man and you're probably thinking, I grew up in a great family. You only sent me to the University of Michigan. But it can happen. This childhood trauma could be just you were crying and nobody heard you and you feel abandoned. It's something, it could be something so minor, but in my case, it was major. I mean, the physical beatings that my stepfather and my mother gave me on a regular basis were ridiculous. And it was so bad that I blocked it all out and I created this part called this victim exile where he took the brunt of it. And he was the one running my life for 45 years. And he wouldn't let me get too big. He just kept me like just successful enough, but I was blocked. Once I healed him, boom, everything went through it. So, everybody's different, but I don't know many people. I just interviewed a Navy SEAL, and he said I don't know many people that have been successful that haven't gone through hardship. There's anomalies. He used the Elon Musk. I mean Elon Musk. He works hard, but it appears that he didn't have to do too much. He's so freaking smart that he's the first trillionaire in the world now. So that's cool.
Mm. Yeah, dude. I mean, I've always found developmental psych so interesting. It's just the nature of our complex brain that these little small things that seem so trivial in childhood just affect like your entire life. And
False
you know,
evidence
it's
appearing real, man. You'll hear me say this 1,000 times. Thoughts are magical lies. We will work things up in our head and make assumptions and then take it personal, and neither one are correct. It's wild. This our psychology makeup. I minored in psych, and people are amazing and how they will just defend their limiting beliefs and defend these traumas. And it's like, dude, that is not your identity. That is your trauma and that is your crutch and your mask that you've created so you didn't have to feel pain. Believe me this, once you let that go, then your real identity comes out and then you get to really live your life.
yeah, I feel like the brain is just something that's still it's so hard to understand. And
What are you studying in school?
I'm in computer science, and
Ah,
it's funny
boy.
because you wouldn't think, but there are parallels. I've also thought they gone down rabbit holes of thinking about like, psych and computer science and AI and all this, and it makes you think. Just because I think our brain is so complex, and that's helped us a lot as humanity's growth or civilization, but it's also just tormented so many people with these like stories we build in our heads, and it's. I feel like I'm not gone so deep into therapy as you have, and your understanding of the brain is probably much more than the average person. But just seeing like small patterns in myself, or just looking at small ways I've looked at the world in the past, it's really remarkable how we'll spill these stories in our head that often are just not true, and we get stuck in these kind of like boxes. But it's always been that other subject that I've always been curious about.
Well, there's two things that you just said that just made me think of things. First of all, let me give you a little advice, but I'll give you that second. Number one um, is evolve or die. You're in computer science, and really, computer science is probably going to go away because AI is going to take its place. You said it. So it really is. We have to adjust. I own an IT, a managed service provider that is now an AI cybersecurity company. The things that we used to have to touch manually, and I'd have to bring in specialists, engineers, AI AI fixes for us. So if you're not evolving, if you're not growing, you're getting passed by guys like us. That's number one. Number two is you're a young man. I would suggest that, and for all of your listeners, that if you don't know what's going on, just journal. Just grab a notebook and each day just write all your thoughts. And on your good days, star it. And on bad days, just put a little freaking negative. And then go for a year and then just go through and watch. And if you'll see the pattern recognition. The good days, something there'll be one thing, and the bad days, there'll be something else prevalent. And if you can spot the pattern, don't that will you'll get way out ahead of everybody. I wish I would have done that. And the stories you put on repeat are the pattern. I'm not good enough, or I don't belong here, or I'm not smart enough, I'm not handsome enough, I'm not big enough. Those are I am statements. And then you want to be advanced, do I am statements towards the positive on the second page of your journal. I am worthy. I am lovable. I am smart. I am smart, and I own this. And you'll trick the mind.
Those are, I want to go down both of those rabbit holes. I do want to ask you your thoughts about computer science as a whole, as someone who runs a company in the IT space. But just touching on that last point, you know, I feel like I've realized it's very nuanced because I used to journal a lot when I was younger, like high school. I think I did it for about 3 years, and I saw a lot of great things come from it just because it allowed me to really understand my patterns a lot more. And honestly, the biggest enlightening thing was looking back at, past journals and realizing how like deep in a story or narrative I was that just in the grand scheme of things seemed like nothing. And I think it really did help me for a long time. I've recently have
Why'd you
stopped.
stop?
Um, I think the main excuse people bring up is like time, but I think that the real thing is that it slowly crept away from me because it used to be a daily habit. And then as things came up, I would do it less frequently. And now it's come to a point where I do it maybe once every few months. But
Well,
it
you
is
hold on.
interesting though.
You just did what every human does. Something working, and they stop doing it because they feel better or
But I
they
do
get
want
bored.
to, since I've had some time doing it and not doing it, I've also been able to compare the two. And one thing I did notice about journaling is that it would kind of fuel my overthinking to a degree.
Really?
So, I am a pretty big overthinker, I would say. And I think I was a much bigger overthinker when I was younger. And I think when I used to journal, I would overthink my own patterns in a way and like look deeper into them and try to find these reasons in between. And oddly, I feel like in this last year, when I've kind of stepped away from that, I've seen a lot more success in my life. And just like I kind of just dropped all of like these things I was trying to tell myself and trying to build these systems. And that's a more of a personal thing. I don't think
All right,
it's
hold on. I
applicable.
want to break this down. The stories you tell yourself, the story you're telling yourself right now, folks. Why do you think you're an overthinker?
You asking me?
Yep.
I think it's something I've noticed in myself I've always had. It's hard to pinpoint why, but I think that somewhere inside I want a reason for everything. Like I think it simplifies something in my head where if everything has a reason or somewhere I can justify it, it kind of brings me peace in a way, but in the real grand scheme of things it doesn't because you just kind of get stuck in this loop of trying to reason everything. And in this last year I've kind of entered this mindset of just attacking life head on and just like not trying to systemize things, just like go about my day, live in the moment, and still work as hard as I can. And I think they're both great ways to live, and I can kind of contrast them now. But um, oddly enough, I feel like my level of peace has been more when I just attack life head on in a way, and not try to systemize every part of my brain.
Let
But
me tell you what the studies show. Sure. I could dig into this deep and break you down, but I'm going to just take some assumptions. The brain wants predictability, and that's why people stay in abusive relationships because they can predict what's going to happen. So if you are constantly trying to have some kind of control, which is what you're trying to do, is you don't trust yourself. So somewhere in the neighborhood, you're somebody told you that you weren't good enough, or that you were stupid, or that you can't amount to something, and you took that and ran. So you're probably right. Writing down that kind of thought on loop will make you think that. But if we start turning those to I am statements, I am super smart and successful and a 4.0 student. And then you can switch to just turning it to getting the thoughts out of your head, because that's what journaling is all about. Just get you the thoughts out of your head and onto paper. And by doing that, it gets rid of it. So there is something in you that is trying to control something because you don't trust yourself.
Mm.
I know this because I've been there. And the quicker you build self trust, meaning keeping the commitments you make to yourself, never, ever negotiating with yourself or anybody else, you'll build confidence. Action builds confidence. That's why I love that you have this podcast. You keep a commitment to yourself, you honor it, you edit it. But this is one of your limiting beliefs. And if you attack that, um, the last piece I want to talk about with journaling is, this is the fun part, is going back and looking how far you've come. So what right the struggles I'm going through right now, I freaking was journaling about 5 years ago and praying for them. So when you measure the gain and not the gap of how far you have to go, it's beautiful. And you can be in a gratitude and know that, hey, I was in this situation before. I got through that. I can get through anything. So I implore you to start looking in and saying, why do I not trust myself? Now, that was a very quick analysis, but if I spent more time with you, I could very much pick up that pattern of places where you self-sabotage and or abandon yourself. And it's probably in the subtlest, simplest, easiest ways. And you don't even notice it because we're so close.
Mm. No, I think your initial read is like very accurate, and I can kind of pinpoint in my head like where it might come from, just like personal events from like years ago.
Yeah.
And I
It
think
don't have
it,
to be big things like mine, man. They could be the littlest thing, but if it just gets reinforced and then you reinforce it, which it sounds like you do. You're one of those super duper overthinkers, which I do too. Read the book, The Four Agreements, if you haven't already.
who's that by? I should check it
Don Miguel Ruiz. Usually I have them here, but I buy them all the time and I give them away. It changed my life. Four agreements. Be impeccable with your word, which means always keep your promises to yourself and everybody else and never talk bad about yourself. Second thing is, don't make assumptions. Third one is, don't take anything personal, and the last one is, always do your best. And they bring it all together. But those middle two, don't make assumptions and don't take anything personal. I said it earlier in the podcast. We make assumptions. I am not good enough, or I'm an overthinker. Here, this one. I'm an overthinker, and then then you get angry about it because we took it personal. You're not an overthinker. You're not an overthinker. You just don't trust yourself. And
out.
that's logical. Remember, I said this and timestamp that, because if you jump on that, your success will go through the roof. I wish I had access to people like me and content like YouTube and free content to be able to get through this stuff. I would have attacked myself a lot sooner.
Mm. No, that's definitely great. And I think that is true. It's a good read. I think that for most of my life, but maybe recent years, I haven't. Like I've lacked that control. I like haven't trusted myself. But I think in recent years, what it's kind of gone away just because of success I've built, I think. And I look back at all the things I'm proud of, and it's all kind of melted away in a way where I do kind of trust myself now and I feel more in control. And I think that's what's allowed the overthinking to go away. But it does come back occasionally because there's still pieces of me from the past. But I mean, I found that if you do things you're proud about, you achieve some of your dreams, then naturally they do kind of float away. And that's what I've kind of noticed, at least in this last year and a half or so. Um,
You know
yeah.
how you can do that? Here's a cheat code for the audience who just say no more. If it's not aligned with your thing, if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. That's the easiest thing. We go and we do things and we sabotage and we abandon ourselves and we go out with people who we don't want to hang out with that drain our lives. The quicker that you realize you put yourself first, self-care is not selfish. It's only selfish if you're doing things to hurt people. But if you're picking yourself and going, no, thank you, I don't want to go drinking tonight. No, thank you, I don't want to go gossip. No, thank you, I don't want to go to the bar. Even if you're not drinking, it's like, just say it's easier to subtract than it is to add healthy habits. Subtract the negative ones, than adding the healthy ones. Believe me, I tried. I tried to pack every single day so full of habits last year, and darn near burned myself out.
One thing I will say is, although my journaling has kind of gone away, I think something I forgot to say is that I think it's transformed into other methods as well. Because something I do a lot more now is when I'm like feeling a lot of emotions or like really like in my head a lot, I actually just like as I'm driving, just open my phone and like record myself talking. And I found that to be very helpful. It's kind of
That
like
is
a
very
different kind of
helpful. I got a
journaling
bunch of them.
where I just like talk through all my thoughts and it's not really a daily habit as it once was, but I do find myself when I really feel like I need to get thoughts down, like I do open the journal again or I
At
do
least you're getting it off of somebody. And you know what I think? You know what I did through the toughest times, and I don't recommend doing this, but I have so much content out there that I built an AI avatar that knows me real well, and I've programmed it to not sugarcoat anything, and I bounce certain thoughts and feelings off of it. And what I like about it is it's there's no bias. It's not like your best friend that's going to tell you what you want to hear. Um, me, I got a bunch of guys that keep me accountable, so nobody tells me what I want to hear. They know that if they do that, they won't be my friend, but they still want the best for you. My AI agent just wants me to get better and he knows it. So I bounce it off of that. I don't, it's better than a therapist. It's better than a friend because it's unbiased. And I did it. It helped me point out blind spots that nobody else could have pointed out. And you just giggle because it's like so spot on. I'm not saying to go and build yourself a therapist AI agent, but
not the worst thing.
it's just something I did, but I have a ton of content. Like it scans all of my podcasts that we've programmed it with, and a bunch of my content is in there. I think there's something like 100 plus files, and it's programmed meticulously because
Like,
I have a team of people that were able to program it, and so it works.
yeah, can you tell me more about like how you went about building that? Like how does it kind of work and as well as like what are the blind spots you found through that that you never knew about yourself before?
Well, this is what I'll tell you. I'm going to take a backstory. If you read my first book, Harder Than Life, everything always, I was always in the right place at the right time. And this was even in bad situations because I'd always learned. So life is always happening for me and not to me. When I started National Technology Management, I was at a golf outing partying and I was teamed up with a guy who was a moron. And I was like, how much money do you make? And he told me, and I'm like, if you make that much money and you're this big of a moron, and I was friendly, said it a lot nicer, I can triple that. And I was right. But what he did was, I'm going to help you start it. And he did. He helped me, hooked me up with his attorney, he hooked me up with his contracts, and he paid it forward. So that's why I pay everything forward as well. So I just have always been in business at the right place at the right time. And I've been able to see, 10 steps ahead of everybody else. And then so you asked me a blind spot. What I realized through asking my AI agent is if you look at this logo and if you pull up my national technology logo, they're both shields. I didn't notice that. It's because I shield people. I shield people from their mental abuse, and then my IT company shields companies. So what do I want to do? I want to protect people because nobody was there to protect me as a little kid, and I didn't notice that. So everything I do is to pay it forward and try to mentor young men like you and women to not go through the life that I did. I mean, I wasted years of my life. Now, if you were to go back and look at social media back then, now I was lucky enough to grow up before the internet. I sold many companies their first ever internet connection. I know you think I'm older than a dinosaur, which I am, but there's some earlier content that was I just not proud of. But everybody was like, "Oh my God, he lives the best life," and I just didn't like the guy in the mirror. So, yeah, I am a learn it all and I am constantly growing and constantly improving so I can be better and better and better. And I think I'm just now kind of hitting my stride with what I want to do with the podcast, with my next book. Nothing I'm doing is trying to make money. I'm not selling courses. I'm not, we don't have a bunch of sponsorships on the podcast uh, to make commercials, to make money. It'll come. I've always done the right thing, always, and ended up with whatever God wanted me to have in return.
Mm.
It's just worked out for me.
Is that the kind of same approach you've used, like the kind of the attitude you have toward growing the podcast right now? Is that kind of what you use also when you're building your first company, as like just doing the right things? Because I think things take a lot of time, and you've been doing the podcast for like 3 years now, and it's only slowly starting to take traction. For a lot of people, that's very difficult. It's easy to quit early. So,
Yeah,
um,
I've
yeah,
I literally married the process and divorced the outcome. I know we have goals, but when we set these goals, what do we want? What do we really want? Do you want the big house and the new car and the fancy girl? No, you want the feeling that you're going to get from that. Like you want the love, you want the respect, you want the feeling that you're going to get. So I can create that feeling every single day. And I don't need to chase those, but I still do actions to get to those goals, but I don't become obsessed to the point where I'm going to uh, create fear and lack, because you can't build in fear and lack. And a lot of people think you can. You can get to a point, and a lot of people have, but that's when you see like the Michael Jacksons and Princes and Elvis Presleys, who, they have the world and they kill themselves
it happens too frequently. It's insane.
because you got to heal what's going on in your head. You have to, or else you'll sabotage it. So everybody has a temperature setting in their brain, and it's set at 75. You may get to 85, but then the air conditioner is going to kick on and bring it down. You may go down to 65 and the heat will kick on. So what I want to do, if people take in my content, especially on Thursday episodes, I pay it forward. We can raise that internal temperature up a degree every single week if we work on ourselves. And eventually we'll get that thing up to 100, 110, and then we're really cooking.
Yeah. I think earlier you mentioned like all these different kinds of therapy and that you've explored and tried. And I don't think a lot of people know about the different kinds of therapy. I mean, I don't know too much about it. And it seems like a core of, healing your mind and, part of your journey as well. So I'm curious if you can kind of give me an overview of like everything you've tried, what you've learned about why therapy has helped you, and like what is so powerful about it, you think, at least in your own personal experience and how it's helped you.
Because we have to heal what's going on in our head. I'm going to cheat for 2 seconds. I had this up 10 seconds ago, but I'm going to
Go
ask
for
you
it,
guys to go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you go there, I just recorded a podcast that was so good, and it was about all the therapy I've tried.
yeah. Sick.
And I broke it all down. But I'll give you a quick summary. Like I said, I did talk therapy, which is you go there and you tell your thoughts and feelings, and they do shadow work and they explain why you do what you do. But I don't know many people that have healed from it. And a bad therapist will keep you there forever because you're a reoccurring revenue stream. And people will go to therapy for years and years and years and not get any better. So my therapist said, "Hey, you've hit a wall, and we're done here. I can take your money, but you're not going anywhere." So he said, "We have to find something else." So when we did that, I'm just looking for the episode, which
Yeah,
one
no
it was.
worries.
I can't remember. I think it's this one. Um, I literally, oops, wrong
You
one.
can share your screen too if you want to show something up.
It's I'm having a little bit of a hard time finding it because I'm not usually on YouTube this way.
No
Either
worries.
way, it's a recent episode and it says here's the different modalities, and I break it down in detail. But I'll give you a quick one. Talk therapy, we all know what it is. It literally, I think you need to go to talk therapy so you can get over the stigma, and even nowadays everybody is in therapy and should talk to somebody. The second thing I did when he said you don't need to come to me anymore, you're stuck, you hit a wall, is I went to EMDR or hypnotherapy, which puts you in a slight beta uh, state, and then it talks directly to your subconscious, and I
What
healed
does
a
that
little
mean?
more. And it was like we're layers, and we peel away at these layers.
So is like a
And
is it kind of similar to like talk therapy, but it's using this kind of method in the conversation or
no, it's not talk therapy because what happens is the hypnotherapist gets you in a meditative state and then talks directly to your subconscious.
okay, so you're
So
not doing a lot of talking yourself in this state?
no, you don't do any talking. So the first one is you tell her all of your whole life story, and then she creates these meditations that where she's talking to your subconscious. And I'm telling you, it worked. It worked. It got me right to the core. I was right at the precipice of what was going on with my mother and my stepfather,
Wow.
and it got me to one point. And then she's like, we've gone as far as we can go right now, which I knew she was a good therapist because she didn't want to, she could have sat there and said, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. You got to stay with me for years. And she didn't. We did, I don't know, something like 20, 25 sessions. And, it kind of stopped having the effect. So she's like, we're done. And then I went into emotional intelligence coaching to check on that. And I understood uh, EQ, and then I went into EMDR therapy, and it basically picked right off where hypnotherapy. And EMDR is what is it? Eye movement, desensitization, and reprogramming. So basically, you watch this thing that moves your eyes back and forth. And this is again, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, but I've studied all this. What it does is it takes the things that you've assigned trauma to, and it assigns logic to it. So
Mhm.
when it assigns logic to emotion, I'll give you a for instance. One time when I was 8 or 9 years old, I can't remember, it was my birthday. My mom came home drunk and beat me to almost to death, where she almost killed me. And I didn't understand that. This is my birthday. My mother, who loves me, tried to kill me. My sister saved my life. So during one of the EMDR sessions, this was the hardest EMDR session. She's doing the eye movement deep search. And what I did is I basically said, hey, life is going to be hard. So she was making me tough. And once I assigned logic to that beating, I was able to dissipate it and I didn't get as triggered about that situation. So
Wow.
that's EMDR, and that got me to the next level. And I thought I was, and then my business would increase a little bit. And then I went for many years. I tried some plant medicine, and I was able to uncover that I thought intimacy, sex, and love were all the same thing. By breaking those up, it changed my outlook on women. And then recently, I ran an IFS, and now all of the stuff I was doing makes sense. And it was just basically witnessing these parts that got me through life, and which is other parts of my subconscious. So I just kept kind of whittling away. And my guess is that there'll be something else that I'm feeling a little called to go take this ayahuasca down in Costa Rica. The thing that Aaron Rodgers took, because it goes through and it's a medicinal plant medicine that goes to your subconscious and just pulls everything out of you. I'll probably end up doing that next, just to see if there's any more fear or shame that I've buried. But all I say to people, recommend it. Don't wait till you're 50. I'm 50 years old, man. You're a young man. Uh, jump on that stuff sooner. I mean, you don't have to go attack it like I did, but feeling is healing, and enjoy your life, because the quicker you can have control of your emotions, it's the whole stoicism where you'll live your best life, man. I i, I would bleed on people that never cut me. I used to get angry and frustrated and short tempered about things that weren't even that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean you've gone through all this work now and I mean it's clearly impacted your life in such a positive way, which is
Well,
incredible.
I'm trying to impact everybody's life.
I mean, this is great. I mean, I'm happy that it's all helped you so much. And I'm curious, like despite all like the improvement, do you still find it difficult ever to like talk about your childhood or those moments? Like do you still remember it vividly or is it like kind of fading or
No, I remember it. I don't find it difficult anymore because I've healed the meaning behind it. Um, I try the challenge becomes the opposite. It's I've healed it, so I don't really want to talk. I don't really care to talk about it. The only time I talk about it is to pay it forward to to audiences and understand because it's funny, man. I mean, you're a young guy, but in my age bracket, we all got beat. Everybody. I mean, our parents used to literally. My stepfather would take a board and beat us. You can't do it anymore. You go to jail. But most of the people in my age bracket, they got whoopings. They got punched in the face. I mean, you guys don't know nothing about this, man. Back before phones and stuff, you start talking trash to somebody, they'd punch you in the face. There was instant accountability for talking smack. So there's a lot of us out there that's what our parents did. And now we've kind of overcorrected. We're a little too soft because people don't know how to use their words.
Yeah, finding that balance is very difficult. And what are your thoughts on like, internet, the phone, and like how the modern world has evolved with this? I mean,
I think
both
it's
from
the
your
best and the worst thing that has ever happened to us. The fact that I was looking the other day, I fly a lot, and I was watching, I'm a king of 6 a.m. flights. And I'm on the flight. It's 5:55 and everyone's still boarding. And every single person at 5:55 a.m. is walking in. Some are on their phone, are on their phone talking. Who are you talking to at 6 a.m.? And then every single person was on their phone scrolling. We have become addicted to this. So, what I recommend, and I'll give you some great advice, take time each day to be away from this thing. And then, if you, I know I'm going to tell you, not if you can, each year, go on vacation and take a phone vacation where you just put this thing away and don't use it for a week. It is so uncomfortable, but it's freeing. But there's positives. I mean, I don't have, all I need to run my company is this. All I need to get anywhere is this. All I need to pay is this. That's cool, man. Um, but it's social media makes us think that we're super correct because anything that's free, you're the product. And so they feed you with things that you believe and you think you're right. So the social media algorithm wants you to keep scrolling because they want to keep selling to you. So that's a problem. We think the world thinks like us, and they don't because social media teaches us that. But you can also use social media. That's how I got started in this game. I messaged Ed Milet. Ed Milet responded, and away you go. So it's a double-edged sword. And I guess it would say anything in moderation is good, especially moderation. So just take moments away from it. When I grew up, we talked to each other. You drew it ride in cars, and you'd play I Spy, not what's the Wi-Fi code? Like, really? So it's good and bad, but it's what you use it. These are tools. They are not entertainment devices. Like when I'm done with you here, I'm gonna put this phone down and I'm gonna go in my backyard and I'm gonna sit in nature and I'm gonna smoke a cigar. I got a buddy coming over. We're gonna relax and talk to each other without phones.
Yeah, that's great. It's a tough one, man. I mean, I think it's you just got to find that balance for yourself where you can use it in the right ways and not let it use you. And I go through phases where I end up using it way too much and then step away for some time, and it's just so difficult because it always
Well,
gets to
it isn't. It's only difficult because you say it's difficult. It's very easy, actually. That's you're only leading into my diagnosis of you earlier. You're abandoning yourself by saying it's hard. You know what? It's not. Throw the damn thing on the ground and don't talk to it. Don't deal with it. You could put codes on or timers on it so you can't access it. I don't. There's nothing except maybe working out that has control over me. This phone, if I don't want to touch it for the day, I just shut it down and that's it. It's not
yeah.
hard. I don't
For
need to
most
look at
people,
it.
it's like the emotional pull they have toward it. Like they want to step away from it, but they can't.
We're addicted. It's a dopamine hit. Oh, let's go see how many likes I have on that post. Oh, let's get that dopamine. We're addicted to it. But you know what? You heal what's going on in your head. You don't care about that dopamine. I can supply it right here, brother. I already know. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to enjoy my friend who's coming over. We're going to enjoy a cigar. And we're going to enjoy the beautiful. This is a what is the first day in? Oh, you're not in Michigan right now. It's been so humid here.
Yeah,
I got back from my Florida house. It was more humid here than it was there. And today's the first day. It's a really nice Michigan day. So I'm going to get out. I'm going to ground and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to be device free. So it's
yeah,
only hard if you say it's hard. It's just unfamiliar. That's what it really is.
yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you, Kelly. This has been great. I was excited. It was a great conversation, and I learned a lot. And but keep doing what you do. You have a great thing going for you, and I hope your
Yeah,
project.
please hold on. I'm going to give you guys a couple things. If you guys want to email me, Kelly at you still recording?
Yeah, go for it.
Have your audience email me, Kelly at Harder Than Life. Put the name of your podcast or your name, and I will send them free electronic copies of the book.
Awesome.
Again, all of I do is I pay it forward. They're fun, easy reads. They're electronic. And then I'll just throw you on the email list that tells you about the podcasts that come out Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're growing the podcast like crazy. If you guys wouldn't mind subscribing to the YouTube, that helps us get bigger guests. We're getting some bigger and bigger people. And my goal is to become the number one self-improvement show in America. Um, Currently right now, I think it's Mel Robbins. She's great, but we're better and we're coming for her. But
Awesome. Big goal.
so
But,
really appreciate your guys and anything I can do. And most of the time it's me responding to that Kelly at harderthanlife.com. It's I try to talk to each and every person. I love people. I love people and I want to help people. So I won't be as direct as I was with you, but I'm a lot softer now that I'm a little more healed. So thanks for
yeah,
having me. It's an honor. I'm really proud of you. I want you to continue growing and looking in the mirror and noticing trends and patterns, man.
yeah, that's the big thing. But yeah, I hope to check in a few years and see Kelly Siegel, #1 self-improvement channel on
Oh,
YouTube.
it won't be a few years, brother. It'll be 1 year. Watch, one
One
year
year?
from now, we'll be
Okay,
there.
let's do it. I'll check in next year. I'll message you. But I think you can do it. I mean, you've done it so many times, so
Oh, I know we'll do it. That's the trust I have in myself.
awesome. All right, thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
It'd be a huge help if when this will be out on Sunday. If you could repost it anywhere or
Yeah,
share with
just
a friend.
tag us in it.
Amazing. I'll tag you. Sounds good.
Thanks, buddy.
All
Talk
right,
to you.
take care. Enjoy
Bye.
the backyard.
Thank you.